is up, everybody? I am Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, where we are intolerant of weak-minded attitudes that keep people from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and general lifestyle. Got a special episode 8 here. My buddy Kurt Johnson sent me a text, said, you should spontaneously take off school, fly down tomorrow, and striper fish Tuesday. Apparently, the striper fishing in California's Delta has been insane lately. Kurt's been sending me pictures and videos of boiling fish up on the surface, which he casts to with his fly rod and has been just crushing it. Makes me somewhat jealous, but not totally jealous, because after all, I do live in Alaska and we have steelhead and we have plenty of things to keep us busy up here. But Kurt is a fireman and he is getting out and fishing as much as he can, and all that is coming up next. A little insight on striper fishing in California coming at you. Let's start off here. Let's talk some striper fishing. When I was down there, I never did that. What am I missing by not striper fishing, fly fishing for striper in the Delta?
You are missing going out early. You are missing that this pure adventure of the Delta, whatever it is, that draws a lot of people to it. Each and every day, really. It's the chasing the unknown. You see these pictures of these 30, 40, sometimes 50-pound striper, and many of us will never experience that. But just the opportunity at putting some of the pieces together, and looking at all the topographical maps and studying the tides and the weather and everything, it is such a bug that you catch, much like steelheading. I think it's like the blue collar version of steelheading.
The blue collar version of steelheading. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So it's cold. Sometimes it's rainy. It's windy at times. There's some awesome fish that bring you to some awesome places in the Delta, and they're great fighting fish, and they're pretty cool. Normally you find them in schools, and so if you get one and you're fishing with another guy, you double up most of the time. And
so are you like cruising around until you find schools, or is there like certain holding spots, or like what are they doing when they're at the certain parts of the Delta where you're catching them? Are they like on their way up the river? Are they living there, feeding there, transient? What are the things you're looking for?
So we have a few that are in the system year round, but this time of year, water temperature dependent, we get a lot of fresh fish coming in from the salt, and a lot of people are looking for that fish that will feed once, maybe twice a day. And most of these fish, what they do, it's amazing. I sent you the videos of them pushing shad. But what they'll do is they'll sit out in some deeper water, maybe 10, 15 feet, and they'll push bait up against, whether it's riprap or a shallow shoal that's maybe only 2-3 feet deep. And they'll hammer fish, whether it's shad or bluegill, or we have these fish that are called Sacramento pikefish, or split tails, and they'll hammer these fish, and these fish are so long. These fish will feed voraciously on something that, people would be happy catching. And I'll just nail it, man. It's awesome. So we're targeting shallow water, typically next to deeper water, and that is this time of year. The first step was looking at water temp, about 60 degrees, and now it's going down. It's going to be in the low 50s typically this time of year. And so we're targeting areas, like I said, just shallow water next to some deep water.
Yeah. What are you fishing with? If you're saying that these things are crushing it and a big fight, are you 10 weight, 8 weight? What are you using? What's the whole rig? So, down to the fly. Like what are you using?
So we're using 8, 9, 10 weights. And we're using slow sinking lines, whether it's a clear intermediate or a type 3. If we're lucky enough early in the morning, we could use a floating line. with some topwater stuff, but typically a synthetic clouser with big dumbbell eyes and a rattle in it will get the job done in about anywhere from 4 to 6 inches.
Mm-hmm. Are you using like a casting basket, or how far are some of these casts? If you're using one of those heavy things, it's got barbell eyes, man, and you're chucking it, and it can get a little breezy on the delta, man. Are you chuck and duck, or what's going on here?
Yeah, there's a lot of chuck and duck going on. Especially if you have 2 or maybe even 3 guys on a boat. One of the guys is casting backwards too, just because of how the drift is. Having 2 right-handed casters. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we use a stripping basket typically. And I mean, we're using everything to our advantage. I mean, if there's a slight breeze, we're going to position ourselves so we could stay off of the trolling motor and let that breeze kind of pull us across that target zone where we want to go, or even the tide will pull in and let the tide kind of let us float over, and we'll use the trolling motor intermittently to kind of keep us on track of where we want to go, and that way we're not on the trolling motor constantly going against the current or against the wind, and having that potential of spooking these quality fish.
What would you equate it to? I caught one striper on a spinnerbait. I was casting, this was 10 years ago or something like that, but it was kind of a fun fight, but it was on a spin casting reel. It wasn't on a fly rod. So fly rod wise, is it the fight of a steelhead with the take of a ravenous brown? What's that part like?
Yeah, and they say that the tug is the drug.
Yeah,
but oh man, I mean, so for us fly fishing, we're gonna be false casting big heavy line or heavy flies. So every cast is going to count. It's a lot of effort. We're not using a 2-handed rod and spay casting, and so whereas steelhead, it's almost like it's aesthetically pleasing to be on the river casting. That's your happy place, and you're okay if you might get one hit. That's okay, But striper fishing, you put a lot of effort into each and every cast, and so presentation is key. And when you're stripping back a fly, strip, and it comes tight, there's that moment where you just hold your breath, your heart is in your throat, you don't know if you just came tight to a log or if it's the fish of your dreams, and typically you could tell right away whether and all I have to do is head shakes. The littler fish are going to have a lot more head shakes, and those bigger fish are really going to have slower, longer, deeper head shakes. And when that happens, you're like, oh man, here it goes. And they'll run out to deeper water, they'll take some line, and it's fun too when you get into bigger fish, and it's always a challenge. We try to make them earn the reel and not just kind of lay up and let them on the reel. We'll try to strip that in all by hand, and so it is definitely the work and effort into putting into that cast, and then it is that take where it just stops and you just feel the line stretch. You come tight, the rod bends, head shakes, and then they make that big old run, and there's that nice exhalation of just, all right, I did it, came tight, so in. And most of the fish, I mean, if you get a good hook set, they're not coming unbuttoned if you keep the pressure on them and everything. So that is definitely what does it for me. It's that first initial take and that run. Yeah.
You sent me those videos of just the surface boiling, man. It got the juices flowing. It looked awesome. How do you rank? This is an impossible question. Like what's as far as ranking, you've come up here, you've got steelhead, tiny dry flies with a 1 weight for golden trout. Like what are the top three? Fly fishing. You can't compare a 6-inch golden trout to a 30-pound striper, but I'm going to ask you to do it anyway. So where is this ranking?
Oh man, it has to be in the top 3. I think diversity within fly fishing is something that is extremely cool, And I feel bad for people that limit themselves just to targeting trout with a fly rod. But it's the seasonal diversity that you could have. I mean, in the summer, you've experienced it, toss and tries for golden, or brooks, or brown on your belly, laying on the cold granite, and then to switch up and grab the 8, 9, 10 weights in October, September, and and target these big old fish. Like it's all in the moment. It feels like it's the only thing that you want to do. It's number one rank, so to speak, at that time. And then as that season dwindles, you switch up and you focus on something else. But I mean, overall, just the overall Delta experience has to be top 3 next to chasing steelhead in Alaska and Goldens in the high Sierras. Just the whole experience. I mean, the last time we were out, we were in the water, running to our first spot at 5:30 in the morning, and one of the guys I was with, I saw a shooting star.
Oh, nice!
Like it was pretty cool. Like you're running on these big channels that have the marker lights for the big boats coming down, and whether it's seeing just wild game or just other crazy Delta stuff that normally happens, big barges pushing rocks or stuff floating in the water that should not be floating in the water. It was just awesome.
What type of big game are you seeing, or wild game are you seeing there?
If you're lucky, you can see deer crossing.
Really?
North side of the Delta. I saw we flushed out a wild pheasant, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty rare in California to see a wild pheasant. There are obviously a ton of waterfowl that are coming, and it's kind of cool to kind of sit back and watch them and admire them and their migratory paths. And most of the time it happens as the sun's coming up, which kind of just adds to the whole entire experience. There's a ton of beaver, there's sea lions, there's otters, there's just a ton of stuff that will make the trip. And especially if someone has never seen that before, they're kind of in awe of that. In that moment.
Well, that's the initial reaction I had to the Delta when I moved there. You know, growing up here with pristine water, and then you live there, and it's all these rivers coming together that drain into San Francisco Bay, but the water has kind of got this dirty, chocolatey type look to it, and there's agricultural runoff, and there's. My first instinct was this kind of a cesspool. You know, stuff is dredged out, and you have these, but it really does have a very unique ecosystem. And once I kind of got over myself a little bit and say, you know, this is actually very cool. This is very pretty, and there's a lot of animal life. It's very live. It's not just a dead, rotting, big, shipping lane. So yeah, that's really was appreciated on my part, and it's kind of too bad that after I moved is when you're really starting to get into that. But it's I got to investigate that, man. Next time I'm down there, we got to see if we can do that. But you know, what are you going to do? Like next time when I'm down there in June, we're heading to Montana again. So it's hard to say no to Montana. Is the striper fishing kind of a year-round thing, or is this kind of the peak time to fish for it? What's the season like?
Yeah. So like I said, October and then November right here, and then parts of December, depending on water temperature and stuff. But now is the prime time to catch those big mamas. And then you have another opportunity in spring once the water temperature gets back up into the mid-50 range. And then during the summer, most of the quality striper will go back out to the salt. But there's always those little schoolies, as we call them, that are always in the system, which are kind of fun to target on like a little 6-weight rod, which is cool. But most of the guys that I am privileged to know and call friends will switch up and kind of target some smallmouth and some black bass and stuff on top.
Yeah,
which is a pretty cool experience, pounding the banks in search of these smallies.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plans shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
Well, it's good that we're not going to be conflicted then. So when I'm down there in June, it's not going to be, that's going to be one thing out of the way there. But what are you thinking for June, man? Last year we went up to Madison, spent most of the time on the Madison, did a little bit of stuff in Yellowstone itself. What are you thinking right now?
I don't know. I'm kind of in the cold weather mood by now, so I kind of got striper on the brain. I got some Stillett on the brain, but I mean, we got snow last time we went to Montana, right?
Yeah, that was fishing between the lakes and snow. That was crazy. That's my still my backdrop or my desktop on my laptop is catching those. That was unbelievable just how many fish that I lost that day. And the lack of variety that I got. You were getting like one of each, man, and you were crushing it. And I just, that one spot in particular, got 3 or 4 pretty much close to shore. I was getting the chubs in though. I got some chubs to hand. Those are some fun fish, but yeah,
that was impressive. And then I mean, our guide breaking an oar going back home.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, that was yeah, that trip went so fast. Like there was so much leading up to it, and that's, I think, most fishing trips are like that. You 5 months away, then 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, and then it's here we go, and then it's over in just a flash. You're just spending so much time, and the time goes so fast. You're having so much fun, and then it's over, and wow, it's been a while.
Yeah, there's just so much to take in, especially in Montana and West Yellowstone in particular. I mean, we had the opportunity to talk to Craig Matthews. Like, that guy is a world-renowned dry fly tire fisher and just overall good dude. Like, he's written so many good books and everything, and I mean, it's just a cool area.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't spend more than 20 minutes inside fly shops in West. It wasn't let's spend a day and let's gain some knowledge, let's see the shops, let's do this. We walked around for a little bit, but we spent a lot of time on the water, but still didn't even scratch the surface. Like, I don't even feel that I have any sort of grip on the Madison. We got some really nice fish in there. We found some nice pockets, and we're getting on it, but that was just a very small portion of it. There's so much more to it, and it's almost overwhelming. Our initial plan was like one river a day, and we were going to kind of drive around. Then we thought, no, that's not going to work. We're going to spend half the time driving. We're going to fish these legendary rivers, but we're not going to be able to fish it for very long. So I think the plan was definitely right. But man, it's hard to figure that out.
But I mean, that's the cool part, though. Is like, that's what gives you fuel to come back. That's like that's what you're daydreaming about.
Yeah.
While you're not there. I mean, that's all the unknowns and the possibilities and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just so cool, and you have that pure adventure aspect of it too. Like I said, when we were coming back and the water had risen a little bit, and the guide was doing work trying to get us across the river.
Yeah.
Snap that oar.
Yeah.
Just jumped overboard.
Yeah.
and kind of did a half sidekick swim. The way you touch ground again, and you're just like, you don't have any time to react. But that's pure adventure, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. I want more of that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that in that moment, there's the people who freeze, the people who wait for instruction, and the people who just act. And I was in the what do you need me to do? But before I could, even listen to a response, before he even responded, like he was already over and holding onto the boat and swimming us across. And I just stood there and, okay, well,
yeah,
I'm not sure if you need a hand. Maybe that was crazy. It happened so fast.
Like I've never felt so helpless before. Oh man, I mean, and we were in a good chalk section of that ripple, and it was chocolate melt. Like the water was stained. It had been snowing.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy, but. Yeah, I'm starting to get the feel for. I haven't fished in over a month and a half. I've just been hot on the deer trail. Last year I'd gone to steelhead fishing a couple times by this point. And there were a couple creeks that when the salmon kind of clear out, there's some trout action going on. But yeah, I haven't even done that. It's just been all hunting so I'm
eating it up.
Yeah, I need to get a fly in the water for sure.
Yes.
But yeah. Gotta make it happen. What else? What's on the list for shopping? Stuff that you're looking at. There's always got to be something that you're looking at. I've been contemplating a better 3-weight, something like that, for some of those Dolly Varden. But I'm pretty set with my 5 and 7 weights.
Are you thinking kind of fiberglass, or are you thinking fast action 3-weight, or what are you thinking?
You always got to have that next thing that you're going to buy, because you can never be content, right? You can never be satisfied with all the rods that you have. So yeah, it's kind of open-ended at this point, but I'm looking at maybe a nice smooth casting, a slower action fiberglass. I think that'd be a lot of fun for those dollies, because those things are pretty ravenous.
Yeah.
But
I kind of got my head down right now. I got my boat that I inherited from my dad. It's a 1987 Stratus fish and ski bass boat thing. And that's kind of like my first car, so to speak, having a boat. And so it has died on me a couple times, but, that first car, you're not afraid to tear into it and kind of fix it up and make it your own. And so I've named it Lazarus, because it has risen from the dead multiple times.
Nice.
But I kind of got my head down right now, saving for a boat.
Nice.
A new boat. I'd really like a new boat, and just the something modernized. I mean, having maybe a 4-stroke engine that is quiet.
Yeah.
And the tackle space and the lighting, the LED lighting, that's kind of cool, and just the overall efficiency of a newer boat.
Yeah.
Has me wanting some of that right now, but at the same time, like. Lazarus. I mean, there's nothing like being on the water at 5:30 and firing her up and installing that 2-stroke. For some reason, it's just it is what makes those early mornings for me. Well, that and coffee.
Add that and coffee. Yeah, I like my boat. It's you can get a bigger boat, a nicer boat, especially up here. It's going to increase the amount, where I can go, maybe open up some hunting opportunities. But I just think, gosh, what I have right now is pretty nice. I kind of like it. I know, as long as, the boat itself is an 85 Boston Whaler, but the motor is pretty new. And as long as I have gas, it runs real nice.
Yeah, gas in the tank.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, part of the problem was that I had initially, the mileage that I'd calculated was when everything was I hadn't done my 100-hour motor maintenance, and so it wasn't quite as efficient with the gas as it had been. And so I calculated that I'd be able to get there, and as it was shut off, then we could put some gas in there. Not that it was going to run out of gas when we're almost there, and then get some water in there or some air. But that was, if we would not have run out of gas and been drifting around in the ocean, we would not have heard those wolves. So
which is pretty cool. Or by the Trident fishing guy.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great story. It was a beautiful day. It was a good thing we started rowing because the tide going out, that could have been a little bit of an issue there, but it worked out fine. Got we got some fish that day, right? A bunch of trout.
Hey, there's that adventure aspect again. There you go. It's like our broken oar story.
That's right. Hey, if everything goes perfectly, then it might not be a great story. You go there and you catch a ton of fish, and that's fun, but the story isn't quite as good. However, it's nice that it hasn't been, keeping the adventures somewhat docile. There weren't wolves on the beach or anything like that. It wasn't stormy when I ran out of gas. So that's always kind of nice to keep it docile. Yeah. Well, shoot, we're gonna have to figure out June. Stay up with it and be in touch about that. I kind of like the edge. I kind of like when we went, just because it wasn't nearly as busy. We didn't really get pushed off when we were on the Madison those days. We saw some other people, but it wasn't really crowded. We had other options. We could walk upriver, which we did, and didn't see anybody really. And there's a lot of water to cover. So, but yeah, I think if you go at the peak time, it doesn't matter if you go up or down, there's going to be people. So it's your first spot. You got to kind of do that and stick with it. There's not really an opportunity for.
Talked about it being overwhelming, and I think the Madison could absolutely be overwhelming. But with that runoff, I think it forced us to hyper focus on the high percentage areas. Yeah. That being that first 5 feet off the bank, essentially that slower water, and really geek out and kind of tinker and tweak the setup a little bit. Yeah. Fish that first few feet off the bank. Yeah. And I think without that, it would have made it a lot more overwhelming. Just in having that temptation to maybe get out in the middle behind some of that slower water. Yeah. That rocks and stuff. Yeah. So,
well, that was
I was kind of thankful for that one off.
That first, being real patient with it and fishing right next to the shore, which is crazy. Got a bunch of hookups there, and then you can, if you're fishing the exact same spot, fish right next to the shore, then take 2 or 3 steps out there, and then fish the edge of that really fast stuff. Put on a little bit more weight, and got some fish out there too. But it just shows how many fish are there, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is inspiring for sure. It is so, I don't even know how to sum it up, but I mean, it is just, I want more. Yeah. I want more.
Yeah. Well, neither one of us caught like the epic fish. We got some really nice browns, but didn't catch that huge one that, the guides put on their Facebook page. We caught numbers for sure, but man, some of those monsters, and you wonder where they are. Some of them absolutely probably 2 feet from shore, just hanging out by that little bush or little cut bank, or maybe there's a rock out a little bit further that where are those things? But they're there, and ooh boy, I'd like to get into one of those guys. But
oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. And we didn't even get really any opportunity to fish streamers.
No, I threw on that one that almost looked like something you'd use. Actually, I did use it up here trolling behind our boat for salmon, because it has a kind of a herring look to it. But yeah, I didn't. It was kind of weird. It had a rainbow fry type look to it, maybe. But yeah, nothing, not much. It was so fast and just so different, and it was yeah. We just stuck with what was working. Didn't want to deviate from that too much, because when you're in fish, you want to make the most of the time there.
I wouldn't mind hitting the fire hole again too. That was kind of cool. I mean, having always read about it in books, especially older books, and then just driving by it and seeing the rings in that glassy section of water. Like, I'd really like to fish that.
Well, that's the funny thing too. When the first information you get about a river is from someone you haven't seen the river, and so they're pointing out landmarks, and you're trying to find that on a map. But what they see in their head is different than what's on the map. And until you see there's this bend in there, it's by this waterfall, and there's a lot of things that kind of qualify as waterfalls. So there's a lot of things that there's that second bend off the second turnout, and you are in completely different places. There's a guy that gave us the advice, and then I thought that was one place. You thought it was a different place, and it ended up being a third place. But that was a cool river. Didn't fish it ideally, but I got a couple fish. But yeah, there's that definitely up higher in that warmer water with some dries would be really, really awesome to go see that again. We didn't even get to the Gallatin would be great too.
No, we didn't get to the Gallatin or any of the smaller creekless feeder creeks, and I mean we didn't even touch the Madison inside the park.
No, we didn't. We drove right by it.
A lot of water.
Yeah,
we had.
It didn't look. I like the spots that we did fish. So the Madison in the park, I mean, it's kind of iconic, fish the Madison River as it's coming out of the park, but it was, the features were different. It was kind of that even water, almost looks like some of the Alaska steelhead water that we have up here, where it's just pretty even. It was
that uniform shot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
very consistent gradient. Yeah, it's so difficult to. Well, this looks good, but man, you end up going, a mile or so just looking for something different, or it's hard to commit to something like that. But some of those other little spots where they're coming up out of the lake would be great. But yeah, man, it's now that we have a little bit of experience there. You've been there twice now, and I've been there once. We can it'll be easier to pair stuff and figure that out. But it wouldn't be a bad thing to spend a little bit more time in West, and if we have the time to spend an hour or two and just talk to some people and get because the guys in the shops were pretty cool for the most part. But which you kind of have to be. But I have to do that. Fly fishing adventures, man. It keeps life fresh and keeps you really looking forward to stuff. You just got to make sure you do stuff in between now and then. Otherwise, you're wishing 8 months of your life away to get to the next fishing trip.
Oh yeah, I think about the poor guys in like Minnesota or like way up north where they go down to Montana or Wyoming or Utah or whatever. They only have the summer pretty much. I mean, the rest of the time they're ice fishing or I mean if they could jaunt over to Michigan and do some Great Lake stuff, but I feel pretty fortunate being here in California where we have legitimate seasons for legitimate runs of fish. All throughout the year.
Yeah. I do miss the Upper Sac, man. I know that's not the one that everybody talks about when they talk about fly fishing in California, but I just, really spent a lot of time up there. We had some good times on the Upper Sac.
Yeah, the Lower Sac or the Upper Sac, Lower Sac combo was pretty deadly.
Yeah. Oh man, it was good stuff. But well, man, I'll let you go. All right,
Jeff. Well, thanks for having me, and let's do this again. I can give you an update maybe 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, man. Keep the videos and keep the pictures coming, man.
Absolutely. Good work, man.
All right, take care, buddy. Great stuff there from Kurt Johnson. You can see some of the videos and pictures he's been sending me at themediocrealaskan.com. Also on Facebook at The Mediocre Alaskan. You can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram and Twitter at Alaska Lund. That will do it. Heading out hunting, I guess. I just got a text message from a buddy that wants to go on the boat for a little bit and hunt tomorrow. So I guess I have tomorrow planned. Gotta go. Talk to you later.